Right then, massive job on our hands this season, as we all know, but there's an area of the pitch that United arguably do need to strengthen. Now, we looked at the defence, we've looked at the midfield. The next bit for us to look at then, of course, is the attack. Last season, we were ranked 8th in attacking in the league. We scored 57 goals, which was less than both West Ham and Leicester City. Cristiano Ronaldo accounted for 1/3 of our overall goals in all competition, and Bruno was the only other player to hit double figures with 10. Mason Greenwood was our 3rd top scorer in all comps with 6, and he didn't play at all in the second half of the season. With the attacking talent that United has got at our disposal and what we've always stood for as a football club, there's always been there's been a current massive underachievement in the attacking output and over-reliance on individuals, certainly in the last season. With Ten Hag and some new player additions, hopefully there's not going to be another season that happens quite the same way. We want to see more goals spread across everyone, and we want to concede a lot less as well. But let's talk about how exactly Ten Hag is going to fix it. What is he going to change in that attacking philosophy to make Manchester United a better, more threatening goal-scoring team? Okay, so we have to have a look at what his principles of attack are then. So at Ajax, we know that he played a 4-3-3, which on paper, what we would probably constitute more as a 4-2-3-1, but at the end of the day, it's 3 midfielders, 3 attackers. The central midfielder is far more likely to join the attack or maintain a higher position than being the pivot in front of the defence. Donny van de Beek held that responsibility for most of Ten Hag's time in charge since he moved to United. Obviously, that's fell to Steve Burgess or Davy Klaassen. The role probably should be the role that we see Bruno Fernandes deployed in. Either side, the attacking midfielder is paired with 2 men that have greater defensive responsibility and also offer something different to the team both in and out of possession. The right-hand midfielder usually is the defensive anchor of the midfield, and he operates like a bit of a 3rd centre-half, and he's the one that's going to shuttle from the defensive line to the midfield a little bit more so than the other 2 will. He also acts as cover when the fullbacks move up the pitch. This is the role that we've seen mostly used by Edson Alvarez, and that is the role that I think a new defensive midfielder needs to come and occupy if we sign someone. That's your Kante kind of role. Your very, very archetype defensive midfielder is what I'm looking for. The destroyer, the anchor man, the linchpin, that guy. The left-hand side one, that's someone that's a little bit more progressive, often box-to-box, but often more of a playmaker as well. And that's where Frenkie de Jong kind of fits as well. That's been replaced by the next big thing in Dutch football in Ryan Gravenberch. But I think that's the role that we'll be looking for De Jong, and when De Jong's not in that role, the slightly more defensive version of that is Fred. The midfield has 3 varying movements. They never really stick to those typical sort of positions of 6, 8 and 10. There is a lot of internal rotations, and that's why most people probably classify Ajax's formation as a 4-3-3 rather than the 4-2-3-1. This isn't the sort of static kind of 4-2-3-1 that you would have saw maybe Mourinho playing when he was at United. This is a little bit more fluid, or a lot more fluid than that. But it's 3 midfielders with atypical kind of roles, asymmetric sort of lineup that they rotate in and out of possession to try and overload what the opposition are doing. Now, the midfield obviously is extremely important into that. Jamie Scott has done another really good thread on this, and there's a lot of stuff in his tactics that are worth going looking at. I will link that down in the description below. It's definitely worth looking at. Ten Hag coached Bayern Munich for 2 years, 13 to 15, under the tutelage of Pep, who was obviously the Bayern Munich head coach at the time. And he's drawn a lot of inspiration from what they do in the build-up from Pep, very clearly. Playing out from the goal kicks, Ajax utilise what's known as a ring of security. That's the centre-half and the goalkeeper. One of the fullbacks dropping in, and they try and establish dominance, building up with that sort of free against what's in front of them. And they often drop one of the fullbacks into a deeper, maybe more narrow position to sort of aid that ring of security. That's conducive to the fullbacks becoming a bit of a deep playmaker as they have the time and the space to be able to find the vertical options on the other side of the pitch. They also frequently stagger the midfielders too, so they'll push one higher. They create a little bit of a single pivot doing that, and a single pivot acts like an anchor. He holds the opposition's forward line, making them a little bit narrower, and again, it's similar to how Pep uses what's going to happen with Rodri. In terms of possession, the keys once they get in possession are as follows. 1, open up the passing lanes. Can you find angles and options on those angles? Have you got space and time to make the pass? And are you allowing the receiver to receive in an optimal manner consistently? If you're putting the guy under pressure when he's receiving the ball, it's no good. And obviously, all of this is the build up to what we're going to do with the attack. So how will we spark the attack? You have to build the ball up better. You can't just focus on the attack without seeing how it's going to get there. And that's why I've spoken for the most part on this video about the build up and the midfield, because they all feed into, I mean, essentially this is what you're doing in possession. And, you can't ignore 2/3 of your team when you're in possession. So another crucial element, and perhaps the most crucial when we're talking about the attack, is that we're looking to combine in the final third. We're looking for people to do one-touch play, give and go. We're looking for third-man runs. We're looking for positional rotation. And they get the width that they desire through the fullbacks, which means that the forwards are inverted typically, and they're looking to combine in 1 and 2 touches in tight little narrow spaces. The sort of thing a prime Juan Mata was an absolute god at dealing with. Ziyech was known as a bit of a master of cutting inside when he was at Ajax. That's something that I think you could see Jadon Sancho doing very well in this system. Tadic has filled that void and he's doing it fantastically well. He's got a real reputation as a creator from that sort of central zone. And it means that the movement of the wingers and both the outside central midfielders can be fluid. And you're looking at those guys rotating. The 5 channels of the pitch, the wing, the half space, the centre, the half space, and the wing. You're looking at people constantly just running at someone and changing position. If someone runs at the winger, like your wide midfielder runs at your winger, you'd expect the winger to just go and occupy a different space. And even if it's just temporary, okay, the ball didn't come. All right, let's go back. And you're just constantly looking for that sort of movement. You don't want to see people static, standing there, hands on hips, just looking at what's going on with the ball. That's passive football, not active football. And that's the difference in the final third. We're looking for players, and we're looking at what Ten Hag wants us to be a very, very active, not reactive or passive in terms of what it does. Antony on the other side provides a lot more width in the team, and that could be Rashford, could be Elanga, could be either Antony himself, as is rumoured, or possibly someone like a Rafinha. But that's how we'd like to get into the attack. And then, of course, it's about creating chances for somebody to finish. Cristiano Ronaldo is going to be the focal point of Manchester United's team next year. Personally, I think we should be looking at signing someone that can deputise behind him, someone that can fill in and play those games to give him the night off, because I think even though he is a bit of a superhuman, he still is actually human, and he probably does need a night off every now and then if you're going to get the best out of him and prolong his career. If you can give Ronaldo a couple of weekends off every now and then to maintain the level of output that you're going to get from him, you're going to be in a much better place this season. But you're definitely going to need to bring somebody in to do that. I don't know if any of the youngsters at the squad or anyone in the current squad is capable of doing that. Really. That might have been a role that you could have said, you know what, let's maybe keep Jesse Lingard and throw him in. But obviously he's not going to be at the club, so you can't do that. Everything about what Ajax do is about movement, it's about positioning, and it's about being brave. And that starts with, at the back, working it through the middle with 3 different sort of roles for the team that are in midfield, and then providing the width with the fullbacks, narrow forward line that looks to combine with each other. You're going to see a lot more one-touch. You're going to see a lot more 1-2s as you're doing that. Hopefully, you're going to see a lot more running off the ball. Running off the ball is something he's absolutely massive on. And you're going to see people making selfless runs across the face of defenders, across the back of defenders. And when you do that, if a defender's not live to you, if a defender's not aware of what you're doing, he's going to be ending up ball watching. Once he starts ball watching, he starts switching off. That's when you lot can then start making the impacts. And that's when you can start opening the gaps up and starting taking advantage. Since Louis van Gaal, Manchester United have been extremely predictable in attack. It improved a little bit under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. We did see third-man runs. We did see some really good one-touch stuff. We just didn't see anywhere near enough of it. Ten Hag's got to bring that back. We've seen his Ajax team do it. We've seen them rack up some great scores in European competition. I believe that they can do it. And I hope that they can do it. But I think you're going to need some more signings. I'm not sure what we've got right now cuts it. And again, it's not just on the 3 players that will line up in your attack. This is on the midfield in a massive way as well. It's particularly that playmaking sort of Frankie de Jong kind of role. Let me know in the comments. You guys, do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know why. Let me know which signing do you think would be the one that we need to just make this all work, because I think we need one. And I'm leaning towards it being a right winger, or could we see Jadon Sancho move back over to the right-hand side to provide that width on the right-hand side? See you in a bit.
Real fan ownership, real fan input, real fan change, real fan power. 50 plus 1, we can go better than that. 100 plus none. Download our app, view the free content, read about the club, that's fine. But if you want more, become a member. To vote, to go behind the scenes, to make an impact, interact with a global community around the world, influencing how we grow, where we play, club ethics and values. The more members we have, the faster we grow. Support the club, run the club, own the club. This is ours and no one will take it away. The future is in all our hands.